Hello, everyone. This is Brian with the Stock Gauntlet. If this is your first time to the show, welcome. Thanks for taking the time to watch our content. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy it. The Stock Gauntlet is where we look at charts for over 100 common stocks and ETFs. Many of our episodes are private, so if you want the full series, come join us on Substack. That's unearnedinc.substack.com. As a reminder, Brian, the founders and operators of UNEarned Inc. and Stock Gauntlet, are not registered broker-dealers or investment advisors. We are not subject to any trading restrictions. We may or may not have positions in any investment mentioned. Our content is for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to be used as a source to make investment decisions. We do not guarantee future performance or equities mentioned. Individuals and or companies investing in any instrument must perform their own due diligence. Investing involves risk. You may lose all or more than your initial investment. Consult a licensed professional before making any investment decisions. All right, folks, we're going to try it a little bit differently this week. We have these in alphabetical order, so that's the way we're going to run through it. So if you want to kind of skip ahead, we'll start with the A's, go all the way to the Z's, and this way it'll allow you to jump around a little bit if you want to kind of fast forward to one of your favorite stocks that we may cover. So let's start out here with Alcoa. We talked a little bit about this one before. One thing to mention, obviously, everything is on an uptick right now, which is, good and bad. Sometimes I'm a little frustrated where it's like you want to find kind of those, needle in a haystack, the one stock that's outperforming everything. But it always seems, especially nowadays, when the market turns, like everything turns together. So it's like either everything's up or everything's down. Typically, you go in your portfolio and 90% of your stocks are going to be in one direction or the other, even if you've picked across industries. So let's see. Not much to say about Alcoa. This is one that, again, makes a lot of aluminum products. But like I said, you could see everything over here. It's got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 green days in a row. It did do a gap up, with all these tariff talks or the ease of tariff talks, the deals that Trump's making overseas. Obviously, if you've been watching the news, everything's kind of on the upswing. Notice Alcoa, this is at the bottom of a well-defined range over here. I had the bottom range around, was that around the 23 level? The top bound around 56.42. So maybe something you want to look at. I'm personally not too interested in Alcoa at this time. Apple, Trump is kind of giving Tim Apple a little bit of a hard time again around not building in India and actually wanting physical factories in the U.S. I think that'll be a long time in coming. He'll probably be out of office by the time that happens. But let's see what happens with the stock. They've been red, green, red again, kind of just meandering a little bit. It did close this initial gap. You see here, kind of bottomed out, what's around 207, kind of went up, and then we had that initial gap, another gap down. So it's trying to make some ground up towards this 200-day. We'll see if it can recover that in the next month or so. High here has been about 260, so it's got a ways to go. I think it's still a good long-term play. Airbnb. Airbnb, again, just like I said, everything else turning around, had a nice gap. Let's see if, how the summer goes. That's going to be real telling. I think people are clamoring to get out of the house and do vacations again. So I think this goes a little bit higher. It's already crossed the 20. It's already crossed the 200-day. Over here, maybe there's some resistance around that 157 range. So you have a little bit of runway. Adobe. This is an interesting stock. I've held this for a number of years. Looks like it's trying to make some moves. Definitely closing this gap. Kind of was around 406. Next support level kind of around here, around 429. It could very well make that and cross that in the next few weeks. So this one you may, if you're a big Adobe fan. Otherwise, you're up here around this initial resistance. That was 490, 493 or so. AES, fairly good dividend. I have a lot of high hopes for this one. They do a lot of kind of in that alternative energy space and energy storage. That's why I'm interested in it, because energy demand is just going through the roof with all these, whether it's crypto or, data centers, you name it, everything is just needing more energy. Um, at the bottom of its range. I'm glad that it's finally come up, kind of crossing this first point I had of around 1255. Had two down days last week, Thursday, Friday. We will see if it can recover that, and continue up towards the 200 day. Affirm, buy now, pay later. It's a crazy concept, but stuff is expensive. So these guys look like they've turned the corner. Had a nice cup. Here's the nice handle. Broke through on the handle, came back. But look what happened. It kind of hit this 46 range and it didn't cross back down. So this one, look at the 20 hitting the 200 day. That's kind of a beautiful setup. So there may be some room to run here on Affirm. Keep your eye out on that one. Agents AGNC mortgage backed securities here. This is kind of one to keep your eye out on. It had a massive sell off. This is kind of one that pays a really great dividend, though. I want to say it may be in the 8 to 9% yield right now. When it gets up around 12 or so, you probably don't want to own it. I'd say if you want to kind of get a nice stock while it's a little bit cheap, pick it up now because once it gets above 9.5, I start to get a little bit nervous. Let's see, AI starting to turn around. AIG. This one had, this awesome run up. Looks like it's going to start running up again. It'll soon be at an all-time high here of this 88. So it's about four points away from an all-time high. Ally had a nice gap up as well. Couple of down days, a doji here, and now it's kind of meandering around the 200 day. We'll see if it can kind of break through. I was hoping it's going to do another one of these epic runs. I mean, if you look at this epic run it had, pulled back, kind of fell through a little bit here. So I'm a little bit nervous with this one. It may fall back down. We'll see. Applied Materials had some had a rough week. It slid 5.3%. Looks like it was good. This is a perfect fake out. It had that gap up, 4 green days. Then it had some bad news around earnings, and now kind of gap down. So probably wouldn't touch that one for right now. AMD, the infamous AMD. People call it advanced money destroyer. I still got some love for AMD. Had a gap up, had another gap up. It had a good week. I want to say it's around 17%. It went up in a week. Lisa Su was over there in the Middle East, hanging out with the folks. Again, it's you gotta be strong for this one. We'll see if it can kind of break that 200 day. That would be nice around the 127. If you're doing options, if you want to trade some covered calls on this one, this one I just feel it never really just starts smoking and going through the roof. I think it's a painful relationship, but we see. I think AMD still goes higher. Let's go to, I'm skipping around on some of these covered call ETFs. Amcor, big letdown, nothing to talk about there. Amazon got a high around here, just 242. Had a nice gap up, but see a couple of red days. I still think it can turn around as long as it stays above that 200 day. Still good long-term investment. Let's jump to Adtalem. Like I said, this online education space, I think this is the stock to own long term. More and more universities need help and support. A lot of people in this space, you have companies like Adtalem that really just focus on online learning, and I think they've just been firing on all cylinders. They had, I don't know if you can call this a cup and handle, but it was like a cup kind of went flat or sideways. Then it was like another cup, or if you wanted to say that was the handle, but it was almost like two cups, and then it took off. But look, gap up, really strong green candle. Tried to break free of that, came back down, and now it's green again. I think this one goes higher. So that one's a good long-term play if you like that education space. Boeing. Look at Boeing. Boeing, I think they were part of that Middle East deal and got a bunch of planes that'll be sent over to the Middle East. This one's always, they're not going out of business, but I don't think you're going to get rich off of this stock either. But it's nice if you want to have some diversity in your portfolio. Remember, this was over 440 back in the day, a couple of years ago. So it has plenty of room to the upside. I think it goes higher. Bank of America, again, we got a lot of these banks. Their high was around this 49 or 48 most recently here where it closed. Could go higher on that one. Let's see. We're just starting the B's here after Bank of America and Boeing. Billy, one of the China stocks. This one kind of just meandering around the 200-day. Wouldn't do much there. Let's see if we can find some good ones we really like. Booking. Let's see. Beyond Meat, not touching it, even though it had a strong green candle. Carrier Global. I don't know. Housing seems to still be kind of trying to find its way. It sounds like more people are in the market, especially now that we've entered kind of the warm months during summer. Kids are going to be out of school, or in some places, kids are already out of school. So this is kind of prime home buying season. Could be a good long-term play. I don't know if I'd swing trade this one though. This was the area to get this one at around the 60s if you're kind of into anything related to the home. Sometimes we look at Whirlpool. There's another one, Carrier, any of the HVAC companies. But look, you missed that second gap. So it probably is going to go a little bit higher, but just be careful with that one. Let's see. CCJ Camco. These are the guys, for the data center and the uranium. It's back up, starting to make a nice march. I think this one's a long-term play. But again, I think you've missed a lot of the good run up, so not too sure about that one. Let's see. Cadence. Wow, which one was this? This is Chewy. Yeah, that one seems to be on a nice steady uptrend. It's got plenty of room here. Yeah, now you could almost look at this as a cup. When it dropped off back here, this was 6/19, so June 19th of 23, made this long cup. Now you got a very short handle, and this one could be going higher. So pay attention to Chewy. That may be one to look at. CMG Chipotle. I don't know. Chipotle just seems to be meandering. I like the stock. I know their portions are still kind of not big enough for me as far as I'm concerned, but it may be a good long-term thing with this one. I think there's probably better stocks you can look for right now. Coin, I'm loving Coin. Coin has joined the S&P 500. That means indexes that follow the S&P 500 will have to buy some Coinbase. Nice strong green candle, another green, came pull back a little bit. They also had this issue with the KYC, know your customer. So if you're not familiar with that, it's really one of the stupidest things that have come up. But basically, if you wanted to own crypto and have an account with some of these American-based, cryptocurrency exchanges, basically you stand in front of your phone or whatever, you take a photo of you next to your driver's license and everything. And imagine, so you got millions of customers with their face and their driver's license, which obviously has your date of birth and a photo of you and your home address. and you store all these things in a damn database. And so now when a hacker comes in, they pretty much can like steal millions of people's identity because they have like the key pieces, right? And then if they can somehow link the driver's license with your social security, they're off to the races. So just be careful with these crypto exchanges, just to kind of have the benefit of trading on the exchanges. If you can't find another way, they have a lot of information and they don't do a really good job of keeping it secure. I frankly think it's like, hey, once your account is open, they should almost delete your information, right? If it's like, hey, I know this person's been verified, put a flag on my account that this account's been verified, and then delete my driver's license and everything out of your database. But as long as that stuff sits around somewhere, it's just dangerous. You're gonna just see so much more identity theft and everything in these next couple of years as everything goes digital, and so many people are walking around with these big accounts with big balances in their brokerage account or crypto account. But stock is great. They've kind of been anointed the darling of cryptocurrency, and so many people use them in the U.S. And I believe outside even of the U.S. Huge cup. I think we talked about this. Somewhat of a handle, kind of a double handle, if you will, like one handle here, shot up, another handle here. So when you see these, it touched twice. It touched here. It touched here around the 159. I think this one's going higher. Good long-term play, especially if you want to be in crypto. Compass Realty. A lot of top agents are moving over to Compass. I see every now and then I get emails from some of these big brokerages, and they're like, hey, so-and-so is now a Compass Realty agent. Congratulations. So I am surprised. I was looking for that great run, pulled back again. The housing market, until the housing market really straightens itself out, this one's just going to kind of meander. To be honest with you, though, now that I'm looking at this, watch this one a little bit more. There may be a baseline forming here at 535. I think, anywhere in this 6 range, maybe you pick up some shares, $629, you pick up 100 shares, and you could probably ride that easily to this 10 range over the next couple of months. So I think housing is going to turn around. It's just going to take a little bit longer. So pay attention to Compass. I think it seems like to be a good brokerage, hearing positive things about that. Good old Costco, 1025. I like it as a long-term play. It's already made up that gap. Look at this, came down. It's actually already made it up. They got about to cross that gap. So this one may be another one you can pick up. CRM, Salesforce crossing the 200-day. I used to follow Salesforce pretty closely. I don't follow it as much anymore, but it seems to be on the upswing. Cron, can't deal with these companies. Of course, now it's over 2. Man, this thing took forever. I just hate these marijuana stocks. They're just like, yeah. This one of these things you got to have you got to be pretty strong-willed to buy thousands of shares, tens of thousands of shares at 1.6, and then you would have doubled your money already, almost doubled your money by now. But that's one. It's too dangerous for me to try and play that one. It could be turn red tomorrow. CRISPR's kind of still down at the baseline. Let's see. CubeSmart, good one. A REIT for storage. I don't know what the dividend is on this one, but it looks like it's just middle of the range. Carvana. I will always despise Carvana because I missed out. Had covered calls that got assigned way too early, and now I could have probably, I won't even say what I had covered calls at, but this one's ridiculous. I can't figure it out, but yeah, it's there. Chazar is moving up, did a nice little gap along with everyone else. I don't know if you saw my video. I did a short on Vegas apparently still doing some layoffs or starting to accelerate some of their layoffs of some of their service people. But in the short, they talk a little bit about this idea of the Canadians. There's this large Canadian contingent that travels to Vegas a lot. And so when they pull back because of the whole thing with Trump telling he wants to make Canada the 51st state, it's kind of pissing a lot of people off. And so they've seen a steep drop in Canadians going to Vegas, flights coming out of there. And so Vegas will keep an eye on it. I wouldn't own Caesars anyway, but interesting if you have a couple of stocks out there that are impacted by that, keep an eye on it. DoorDash, hate the service, but the stock seems like it's on a upswing. So there may be something there. This damn stock, I thought we were going to have a nice little bump. Should have sold there. Had a few shares, but this one's back in the doldrums. So going to have to wait for the next upswing. Dell. I need Dell to kind of keep going higher. It finally crossed the 200-day. It closed above the 200-day. I want this thing to get back up here in the 150s. I thought this thing was on a tear, and it had that. This is a perfect example of like holding on too long. It had this gap down, which I did not expect. Then it kind of went at another gap down. So that's gap down number 2. Gap down number 3, jumped here, gap down, number 4, came around. That's almost number 5, number 6. This is one where like you should have got out at 98. And now it's down to the thing that this thing got to 66, which is just obscene. Back up to 114. I'm hoping in the short term this thing get 130. So be careful with that one. A lot of this is tied to AI and some of their racks. They have deals with Nvidia. Obviously, they still have the consumer personal computer space with the laptops they make. Strangely enough, I just had a good friend. His laptop totally went brand new laptop, and it's top of the line. With memory, gigs, all of that. And he's only had it a month, and it's already crapped out on him. So not good for Dell. Dollar Gen has crossed. I don't know what it is, why these Dollar Tree or Dollar Store, Dollar Gen do not want to like move. This thing is like, people are struggling out here, and it's at 93. This stock just gets no love, but it's above the 20, but above the 200-day, maybe something to look at. DR Horton, like I said, those haven't turned around. DraftKings, people obviously do not want to gamble. I thought these things would have taken off, but we're in the 30 range. It bounced, got a baseline here at 30, then at 32, it's at 36. I think this goes slightly higher. Here's the other dollar stock, Dollar Tree. At least it's above the 20 now, so plenty of room to run. I mean, I had a base over here before it broke out of one. This was in the 117 range, 117.06, before it started just to crash down. Docu, yeah, I think I talked about this. Nice cup. Looks like it's trying to form that handle. I think this one goes higher, but we'll see. Just be careful. I hear their subscription model is a little bit expensive. Dow's about to turn around, still around that 20-day. Got to get closer to that 200. Domino's making its way back up. It's expensive stock. I wish they would split this one. 495, and the high was around 500 most recently, so it could break. Enphase is a piece of junk right now. EPD on that. Wow, look how many green days this has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 green days. Yeah, so I may have to come back to that one. Etsy, a lot of online store, people trying to sell their stuff, but I don't know if a lot of people are buying. I probably wouldn't dive into that one right now, but if you're a long-term Etsy believer, then it's probably good level. Exact Science, Expedia. I'm still a fan of Expedia, but Expedia is perfect at that 120. If it ever gets back down to the 120 range, it has crossed the 200-day, but I'm still a little nervous. Like this one, obviously, if we don't have a good summer travel, then that one's going to be toast. But if you're interested in jumping in that one, I don't know if I'd jump in right now. I'd probably wait till after the summer, towards the end of the summer, see what travel's looking like. Good old Ford is at 10. I told you don't buy Ford above 10. It's at 10.08. You have more than enough opportunity. Look, all of these weeks that you could have got Ford under $10. So I'm not touching that one right now. Could have had a nice quick 10 to 15% with a dividend if you own that one. FCX, Freeport. This is the miners. It's kind of have a couple of red days, surprisingly. So I don't know on that one. Five Below. Wow, Five Below had a nice gap. Look at this. 87. Had the simultaneous cross of the 20 to the 200, and now we got a couple of green days at 106. My initial ban. So take a look at Five Below. This one may go. I want to keep saying Fiverr, but this is Five Below. The store looks like a candy store / bazaar. It's kind of a weird store business model, but stock looks like it could be going higher. Frog going higher fastly. Had a pop, pulling back a little bit. Fubo. I want Fubo to get back up to the 6. This is kind of your established range. I heard there may have been some problems with that recent deal that they had announced not too long ago. Needham is still maintaining a buy. That was a couple of weeks ago. Wedbush still maintains an outperform. So keep your eye on this. This one is like one of these like, hey, it's only when it was down here. Even right now, I mean, at 321, if you buy, a couple of hundred shares of this, 300-400 shares, you could turn a little profit there and then, maybe do some things. So that one's kind of throwaway money. GE is at an all-time, well, I don't know if it's an all-time high because this one has been slaughtered over the past 30 years, but it definitely looks like it's at a very recent all-time high, very recent high. 231. They've been all over the map. I probably wouldn't touch it because you've missed the bulk of the run. Now, on the healthcare, I still like the healthcare. This is when they did that spinoff, but again, 60 was where you should have got in. It's at 73. And maybe a little bit of runway here to go, to the 200-day, 73 to 80. That's a good 10% bump roughly. So maybe if you want to do a swing trade on that, possibility. We're not going to talk about GameStop, Generac, like I said, Golden Ocean, Gogol. I call it Gogol, not Google. Golden Ocean, shipper, dry goods, bulk shipping. 806. This one had a hell of a dividend. I believe they cut it back. Yeah, look at this. So it was like 30-cent dividend. You had a 30-cent dividend on a $9.75 stock. It's just crazy. They cut that sucker in half, and obviously this thing is falling down. Honestly, though, if you have a couple of thousand to put around, look at the yield on this one. You may still want to pick some up, and then again, don't put your retirement on that one for sure, but could be a good if you're looking for a high yield just for a little bit. Now this is Google. Man, this company's just having a tough time with all between the DOJ and then falling behind in AI. If you're not already in this one, I don't know if I'd be running to the door to kind of buy into this one right now, but I know a lot of the big boys are actually trying to actually get into this one. So I think I don't know if Bill Ackman loaded up on this one, but I know his name was being floated around. So do your research on that one. HIMS 72. It is approaching that all-time high. I still like this stock. It's at 64. A little bit of expensive right now to get in. This was definitely one to get in around the 27. That's why you got to really watch these things. Now it's expensive. So if you have it, I think you can hold it. Not sure I'd open a new position on that one right now. My other one that's in the H's, Robin Hood, in the hood, 61. Again, I think this is going to break a all-time high pretty soon. and certainly because of crypto. So I would, I don't know, a lot of people don't like the brokerage stocks. I know what's my man Ian, the master investor. He's not big on brokerage stocks, but I think if you had to own one brokerage stock, I think this one would be a long-term hold personally. Let's jump to Intel. Is still down in the doldrums on the eyes. JBL is finally had two nice gaps heading up. That one I think is going to go higher. Be careful with the swing trade, but I think that one goes higher. JP Morgan, this to me is a long-term hold. There's a couple of articles out there right now, people getting nervous with Jamie Dimon. You know, he's making the comments he'll be out in probably the next 5 years, and now it's probably down to the next 3. If I know Jamie, like I think he's gonna stay in the reins until Trump gets out of office. Hopefully Trump goes quietly. And if Trump doesn't go quietly and tries to be the next king of America, maybe he has to stay around a little bit longer. But I think Jamie's going to tough out, you know, another 3.5 years or so. And then as Trump kind of leaves office, he'll be like, all right, I got my company through those years, and I'm going to hand it over to someone else. But either way, Jamie's everybody loves Jamie. I think this is a long-term hold. Coca-Cola still meandering at that near that all-time high. Again, Coke was the one to pick, not Pepsi. I picked Pepsi and got my butt handed to me. So yeah, and Coke tastes better too. So I don't know what I was thinking. Lumber liquidators, skip it. Lockheed Martin. The defense stocks are never just, you know, they had a nice uptick, but now 618, I don't know if it sees that for a while. Lulu, you got the women dancing in the Lululemon stores, twerking. If you haven't seen that Instagram video. The stock, lots of green days. I think this one goes higher, crossing the 200-day. But again, if I had to pick other retailers, I don't know if I'd pick this one right now. But I think it does go higher, but I think there's probably safer bets. Lyft. I really like Uber and Lyft. I want to like Lyft, but I just know it feels more risky than Uber. And that's always been the problem with this one. When you do opportunity costs, I'm like, yeah, I think Lyft goes higher, but should I just deal with Uber and have a safer time at it? Live Nation, love Live Nation. This again, like I said, still regret not getting it in around 100. It's at 147. That would have fit a 50% return already, and now it's heading back up towards that 157. Probably a little bit pricey to get in right now. Macy's doing Macy's. Looks like it's at the bottom. If you could fall this another range here in that 1043, so maybe you can ride it back up to 20. But we got to see what happens with this economy. MasterCard is a beast. MasterCard, Visa, 583. This one's a long-term hold, and they increased their dividend too. They're at 0.66. Now they are at 0.76. Expensive stock though. If you have the big account, then have at it. Melli, I told you, Mercado Libre has broken out, gapped, and it's on the run. It is back over 26.10. Now it's at 25.84. That was the stock to get into. Again, expensive stock. Unfortunately, if you don't want to put $1,000 a share, or now $2,000 a share, it can be a little risky. Meta, I think Meta goes higher, but Meta to me is more of a long-term play. Yeah, I don't even know if you could swing that right now. Swing trade that one. Magnite. Magnite's trying to come up here. I got the 21 baseline here. Support, resistance at 21. Had a couple of bad pullback days. So we'll see. We'll see what that can do. Altria, MO, Big Mo. Got the solid dividend, $1.02 per share. Paid out quarterly. Meandering around that 20-day. It's above the 200, so something to look at. Let's look at Moderna, we're not going to do anything with that. Marvell, hanging around. Microsoft, nice pop. Ooh, Microsofty could be heading towards another all-time high. It's at 456. This is a long-term play. Buy this one, just hold it, and you get a little bit of dividend at the 0.83 per share. Look at MicroStrategy, now called Strategy. So it's at 399. It's rolling over a little bit. Bitcoin is obviously across 100K, but it's taking a little bit of a breather. So just be careful with this one. I could see this one kind of going down in the near term, but obviously we are big proponents of micro or strategy long term because we like Bitcoin long term. But I think in the short term, be a little bit patient with this one. I wouldn't be diving in right now to scoop up a whole bunch of shares. I think you're gonna get a little bit of pullback. Match dating app. It's rough out there in those streets. Stay safe. That's all I'm gonna say on that one. Micron, Netflix is breaking them all-time highs. $1,196 a share. Just wilding out. Another great long-term hold. I don't know if I'd swing that one. Neo, yeah. Northrop Grumman, defense. Like I said, they don't do too much in one way or the other. Nvidia's had a couple of good weeks now. They had to deal with the Saudis. It's starting to go up. Had a little bit of pullback, but it's kind of got this strong hammerhead. It's hammer time. So maybe that one continues higher. Tried to kind of pull down, and they said, no, it's hammer time. We're going higher. So let's see what happens with Nvidia. Realty Income. Man, Realty was at this 55 range. I thought it was going to pull back some more. I love Realty in this bottom range of like 51 to 50, but it's holding up. It's trying to break back over towards that 200-day, that 57. So this one, not much you don't really swing trade. This one is definitely true to our form of unearned income, unearned Inc. This one's good for the passive income. Obviously, it has a cult following. Starting to get a little bit expensive now at the 56, so be careful there. Omega Health has been trying to pop up here, and that one has a good dividend as well, like 67 cents. Oklo, popping 37. This one goes higher. I think this one may be time to get in, back up to 59. I mean, certainly, even if you got to 44 or so, you should be able to get at least a good 10 to 15% bump in the short term. And again, if you're doing options on this thing, I would still be a good 6 months minimum, maybe 7 or 8. But I think you can make a quick 15% on this. And if you make that in the next month, take your money and go invest in something else. I see far too many people getting burned with this, like, oh, my option is 6 months out, so let me just keep holding it and see if I can get more money. Don't get greedy. If your target was 15%, take your 15%, move on. Palo Alto Networks. I like Palo Alto, but this thing it doesn't really rip. It's starting to kind of flatline a little bit, plateau. Probably wouldn't do much there. I like Paychex, approaching an all-time high, actually, 158. Pays a 98-cent dividend. I didn't even realize Paychex pays a dividend. I have to look into that one. Penn, this is another one of the gaming stocks, kind of still at the bottom of the barrel. Here's good old Pepsi at 131. This stock has been a disaster. It's just a disaster. Pets starting to turn around. Pulte, the home builders, Pins. Palantir, look, Palantir doing its thing at the all-time highs, 129. Nice hammerhead. It's hammer time. So that one could go higher, could pull back too. That one's just always a tough one. It's just a lot of activity in that stock. Plug Power has not turned around. I thought we were going to get a little bit of bump. I'd stay away from Plug Power right now. Peloton, yeah, nothing to do there. PayPal. Turning over Quibbits. So these quantum computing ones are like, man, if you can get these, I didn't have enough shares, but I think I was around like the 8s, the 7s. Now look at this thing. This thing's up to 12. Like there's a bunch of people who bought at like $5 that have doubled their money already and made a crap ton of money. Yeah, you got to be quicker than that. So this is one where it's a little bit dangerous. It could keep going higher, but man, if you were ones that kind of got a couple of thousand shares in this range, even tens of thousands of shares, like some of the big players, they're already doubled their money. So the quantum computing, this is just yeah, it's been a hell of a trade for those guys recently. Let's go to Reddit. Hit these R's. I want Reddit to come back up. I think it can do it. It's an awesome social media platform. It's kind of one of the ones like you want real answers from real people. I feel like it is nailed that sweet spot. And I think their ad revenue is just going to continue to get better and better. 113. Frankly, actually, this is not a bad long term swing. Again, you look at the trading pattern; it's not going to skyrocket, but it could. It's definitely kind of a good long term swing trade. Rigetti is another quantum. Didn't have the big push like the other Quibbits. I'm jumping through these R's. Roku pulled up a little bit. Shopify. Let's go to the S's. What's happening with Shopify? Had a nice gap. Snowflake heading higher. I had Snowflake. What is this? 169 was kind of that range at the bottom, and 200. Maybe it gets back up to that upper range, 200, and you're at 183. So you may have a little bit of room there if you want to do a trade on Snowflake. SoFi's had a hell of a time. It was ripping, running, had a cup, had a handle, had another cup, broke through, or second long handle. Now look what happened here. It tested that baseline at $9.94, and it hasn't seen it since, and it's at 13 now. Getting a little bit of expensive. If you do buy in right now, be very careful. It could close the gap here, around 17. What was the close of that day? It was 1792 with a low of 1786. So you're going from 13 to 17. That could be a hell of a run if you're so bold. Sonos, the speaker, SoundHound, AI sound. I think this one goes higher. I'd actually buy more shares here if you could. I just think they're in the space of AI and voice. I just think this is a good long-term play. If you got some money laying around, just like throw a couple of thousand at it and just let it sit. I think long-term it'll do well. SPGI heading higher. Another long-term play, good dividend. They recently bumped it up to 96 cents a share. Spotify has a nice. I like that nice gradual. I don't like these steep, these stocks that have these steep pull-ups. This one is kind of moving in a nice pattern, staying right above that 200. So something to look out for. Let's jump to the T's. We're going to wrap this up here. I'm going to try to get faster as I go through these guys so that I know people are busy and don't want to sit for a whole hour. Try to wrap this up. Try to be at the 45-minute mark. 27 share, a little expensive now. You should have got this one like I told you. You want to get this around the 2018. I thought it was a steal and a good dividend. So I don't know if I jump into that one right now. Teladoc, terrible. Target, struggling. Walmart's better. Thermo Fisher is still down. T-Mobile, Tractor Supply. I want this one to come back. It's like the Home Depot of the rural community. I think it could come back. So let's see. Tesla's trying to make some runs here. Don't count Tesla out, 349. Like people said, when it came down here in this 227 range, it was just too damn cheap. So Elon's going to do his thing. We'll see. Keep track of that. Taiwan Semi, always, this is kind of a long-term hold. Definitely wanted to accumulate down in that 147 range. Twilio. Twilio could probably, I think Twilio could easily do, here's a nice cup, could at least make that handle back to 146 or so. The gap, 139. Yeah, 140. This one may be a good play. Again, be 6 months out or so. Texas Roadhouse. Yeah, people loving it. Parking lots always fill. So, and they pay a dividend of 61 cents. Unity Software, I got killed on this one. It's starting to come back. It crossed the 200. Maybe one to look at a little bit later. Udemy. They're doing the online. Cantor Fitzgerald maintains overweight on this. Bard, is it Baird? Bard maintains outperform. It's at 7. It's cheap enough. I mean, look at this baseline it had at around the 731 mark, 753, and it closed at 707. So this one, if you kind of believe in their platform, you can make a nice 10-20% swing on this one. But get in quick, get in soon. I'm losing my voice here, so I'm gonna kind of have to go through these a little bit quicker. Ulta Beauty, yeah, Vici, our favorite. The Vegas stock, it's at the top of its range here though. This is kind of the range of Vici. Probably wouldn't touch it right now. VeriSign, we love. Still continuing to march higher. Into Wally World territory. Walmart, like I said, I think Walmart's a good long-term hold. 23 cents, recent dividend bump. And I think that's the last ones I'm going to cover. I think Williams-Sonoma, that's heading higher. Wynn Casino, again, heading higher, but just not into the casino stocks. And then these last two, we got Zillow housing hitting around that 200-day. Not a rush to get into that, but we'll see what housing does. And then lastly, Zoom Communications. Man, Zoom's had a bunch of green days. So pay attention to this one. It hasn't gone anywhere. I mean, I know they had that pull forward from COVID. This thing was at $559 at one point. Is outrageous. This one may be a long-term swing, but see what you can do with that. All right, folks. Happy trading. Good luck. Stay safe out there. Again, if you're going to be doing the options, we're still kind of in a squirrely market. Unless you know what you're doing, I'd keep the options out, 6, 7, 8 months at a minimum, if you're going to try to swing trade some of these, and they're not long-term investments. All right. Talk to you next time. Bye-bye.